We had recently published on the blog on March 4th, we published a lot of the results from the survey we did. And I want to thank those of you who filled it out. We had over 3,000 people fill it out, many of whom were podcast listeners. And it was really interesting what we learned. We learned a lot about our audience. Okay, you guys range from 20 to 89 years old. 84% of you are actually married. More of you are men than women. And most of you are out working. About 13% of you are still in training and 8% are retired. Only about 71% of you are physicians. Another 8% are dentists. And a big surprise for me, 8% of you are pharmacists. So a big pharmacist contingent out there among many other professions. Most of you are employees. Really only about a quarter of you own your jobs. We learned that only 48% of you have a written financial plan. So just like our questioner at the top of the hour, many of you still need to get a written financial plan in place. Please do that. We're trying to help you. We're trying to give you the resources to do that, but it's amazing how much easier your financial life goes once you have a written plan in place. I cannot emphasize that enough. We asked about household incomes. We learned that about 9% of you have a household income under $100,000. I assume most of those are probably still in training. That about 21% of you have an income of between $100,000 and $250,000. That 42% of you have an income between $250,000 and $500,000. And about a quarter of you have an income of $500,000 to $1 million. And just a small sliver are making seven figures a year. We asked about your net worth and found that about 15% of you still have a negative net worth, and another third of you are not millionaires. But 20%, 19% are between 1 million and 2 million. Another 16% are between 2 and 4 million. And it looks like about 7% are between 4 and 6 million. And about 10% of you are worth at least $6 million. So a pretty big chunk of pretty high net worth people in the White Coat Investor audience. But what's interesting about that, despite people making pretty good money in this audience and having quite a bit of wealth, people don't spend all that much. And in fact, it looks like only about 20% of you, actually it's less than that, it's only about 8% of you spend more than $300,000 a year. The vast majority of people are spending much, much less. And in fact, about 40% of our audience is spending less than $100,000 a year. 19% of you are financially independent. And most of you are not really interested in a super early retirement. About a 30, looks like about 70% of you don't want to retire before 50. Actually, it's more than that. It's about, that's 85% don't want to retire before 50. And about 11% want to retire between 40 and 49. Only about 43% of you do your own taxes. 99% of you own stocks. 76% of you own bonds. 56% of you own real estate. And here's an interesting statistic. 18% of you own some type of crypto assets. Only about 7% of you regularly use a financial advisor, although another 16% use one occasionally. And what else can I tell you? Most of you, about 3/4 of you, have disability insurance policy. 70% of you have a term life insurance policy. About 10% have a whole life insurance policy. We discovered that 18% of you have experienced career burnout at some point that had a significant impact on your work and life. And another 44% have had burnout that occasionally impacted your work and life. And if we currently ask who's burned out, we see that it is 57% of you are feeling at least some burnout that occasionally impacts your work and life. So a pretty high percentage there. And I guess I'm not surprised. That number has inched up in every survey I've seen throughout the pandemic. Let's see. What can I tell you? Your social media use. More Facebook than anything else. 58% of you use Facebook. 51% use YouTube. 39% use Instagram. 23% use Twitter. It's interesting. We asked you how you found WCI originally, and many of you don't remember, but a fair number, it was a referral from a friend, about 29%. Another 34% just wandered in off the internet. And about 12%, you either bought the White Coat Investor book or it was given to you. About 83% of you read the blog, 69% listen to the podcast, 68% read the monthly newsletter, and about 50% have read the original White Coat Investor book. It looks like 92% feel like you can always trust the recommendations from White Coat Investor, and less than 1% feel like you can't trust those recommendations. So I guess there's always going to be a few we can't make happy, but I'd say that's a pretty good vote of confidence. It's interesting. We asked you what you liked about WCI, and you guys made me cry. You said so many nice things: honesty and trustworthy and consistency, non-biased, practical, motivating, intelligent, transparent. That was really nice of you guys to give that. But I also appreciate the negative or the constructive feedback that you guys gave. And there's lots and lots and lots of that. And we appreciate it because we're going to make changes based on a lot of that. A lot of people wanted me to do more, wanted me to work more, wanted me to interact more wherever they are, make more podcasts, make more content, send them more emails, spend more time with them on the White Coat Investor Forum or on the Facebook group. Obviously I only have so much time in my life that I can dedicate to the White Coat Investors. So as much as people want that, they don't necessarily, should not necessarily expect to get that. What else did we have? Well, we had people complain about the Facebook group. Anytime you get 75,000 people together in one group, there's always going to be a few people that might rub you the wrong way. So we had people asking for less moderation there and people asking for more moderation there. I'm not sure exactly what the right answer there is. On the same token, we had lots of people asking for longer blog posts and people asking for shorter blog posts. And so it's a good mix of what people want, and it's not always the same thing. But we got a lot of great feedback that we can incorporate into the podcast. I think we're going to be looking at perhaps a new theme for the podcast. A lot of people commented they thought the podcast had too many ads on it, which I think talking about our own products here at the White Coat Investors viewed by a lot of you as ads, where we didn't really view that before. So we're going to be a little more careful about that. But we're obviously, still running a for-profit business here. We can't do it without any ads at all. So if you're expecting that, I wouldn't. It's interesting as I look at all the sources I use for news and information out there, one by one, they're all going to a subscription model. Think about the newspapers you used to read. You used to be able to read the websites free, but they couldn't make enough to pay their reporters and their staff just from display ads. And so they've gone to subscription models. Well, we're not planning to go to subscription models anytime soon here at the White Coat Investor. But we do have 15 staff members to pay, and we got to make payroll. And the only way to do that is to have ads, sell you stuff, have you come to the conference, those sorts of things. All right. Appreciate you filling out the survey. If you want more details on that, see the blog post. It's on the blog. It ran on March 4th, and we'll have a lot more details there about that if you're interested.
My dad, your host, Dr. Dolly, is a practicing emergency physician, blogger, author, and podcaster. He is not a licensed accountant, attorney, or financial advisor, so this podcast is for your entertainment and information only and should not be considered official, personalized financial advice.